You are listening to Where To Tracks. We're Where To Tracks, and we're coming to give you info. No, that is not our real jingle. Sorry, everyone. I am Tallulah Gradwell, and this is my guest.
Hi, I'm Mariana.
We are from Where To Magazine, and we are creating this podcast all for you lovely people prior to our launch in 7 days. And what are we going to talk about, Mariana?
Oh, so today we're just going to go through a few travel nightmares or negative travel experiences.
Which always, I mean, speaking of negative travel experiences, even after they've happened, they don't always have to leave a sad note. I feel like there are definitely some that you'll go through and afterwards you'll be like, you can laugh at that now. But at the time, it might have been not great. However, we have got a range today, haven't we? What are we gonna speak about? Which ones?
So we're going to speak about your experience in Cuba, which I can't wait to hear about. We're going to go through anxiety when you travel, because I believe that a lot of people nowadays experience some kind of anxiety.
Definitely.
Would feel stopped from travelling because they are scared of leaving their home or their actual comfort.
Or even just flying again, because I mean that's what happened to you, wasn't it? We'll go through it later on, but that's what happened to Mariana. And then what else? We've got airport security. That was another terrible one. I'm sure lots of people have had bad things happen then. And also, Mariana, you can talk about this one because this one's quite a big one.
Yeah. Well, it's negative and positive in terms of, because I look at it, I'm back at it now. But yeah, I'm just going to speak about going through an earthquake as you travel. So it wasn't nice, but it really made me a stronger person, I believe. So yeah, just want to share it with you guys.
Brilliant. Shall we get started?
Let's do it.
I need more enthusiasm. Let's do it. Okay, so I'm going to start with Cuba, and I just need to let everyone know I can laugh about this now, but I honestly, at the time, it was not good. Because me and my sister were in Cuba for approximately 3 days before we left because we couldn't find any food. So at the time this happened, we were not properly fed, didn't have enough water, so we were extraordinarily delirious. But basically, we had decided to leave our hotel room. You know, we were like, you know what, we're going to find some food. We're going to succeed today. So we went out and we sat in a park. You know, it's about 34 degrees there at 12. So we need a little sit down, a little relax. And these two people came over to us and obviously saw us looking very, very English and very, very lost. And I think they probably just said to each other, like, yes, these are the two to head for. So they came over to us and were like, oh, so do you know the Buena Vista Social Club? And I mean, they're very famous in Cuba, and me and Ella were very excited to sort of be in Havana where they were sort of born. And we were like, oh my gosh, yeah, we'd love to go to the sites, you know, see where they first played and all this. And they were like, well, you're in luck, come with us. And so they took us to a bar, which was most definitely not where Buena Vista Social Club first played. It was I don't think it even had 4 walls. It had 2 walls with corrugated iron shutters on the other 2 sides. And they sat us down and started ordering sort of copious amounts of food and drink and beer and all these things. And me and my sister were just sort of thinking, God, this bill is really racking up. But, you know, we're having an experience. We'll keep going with it. And then, so the conversation turned to how their grandmother owns a cigar company. And I just sort of looked at my sister, like the one piece of advice my dad told me before I left home was don't come back with hundreds of shit cigars. Sorry for my bad language, that one popped out. But those were the words that came out of his mouth. And I just sort of, as I watched my sister continue this conversation, my dad's voice was ringing in my head. And by the end of the conversation, we had paid £90 for 50 fake cigars, can I just reiterate. And also, they disappeared, so we ended up paying for all the food and drink that they had. And we just sort of, they left, and we were sat in this bar, and we were just thinking, how did it get this bad? And I think we just had to sit there for about 5 minutes thinking about what happened. But I mean, I can laugh about it now, and it was probably the truest Cuban experience I had that entire trip. So while I was sad at the time, it is a great story now. So I'm over it. I'm over it.
Did you bring back the cigars then?
Yes, I did, and I still have them.
Oh, did you?
Bearing in mind, I went, 5 years ago?
How fake were they?
They did not smell like cigars. They did not look like cigars. I think they were just sort of bits of wood rolled up in skins. Yeah. But no, I mean, all the fun of the fair, really. And I mean, things like that do happen. You do get taken on rides by locals, and most of the time it will be harmless. But you should look out for yourself, because it can turn ugly.
Oh.
Yeah, but all funny. What about you? Let's talk about anxiety.
Oh, well. That's
We're doing earthquake.
Earthquake first.
Earthquake first.
Okay. Well, I wish that experience to no one that's listening to this, honestly, because first, it's not something that you think would happen when you travel, because obviously it's not a human. I mean, it doesn't. It's a natural disaster.
You don't see it coming, do you?
Yeah, you don't see it coming. It's not anyone's fault. Like, it's not like if someone stole my money or someone, has offended me or anything. It's literally something that everyone, good and bad people in the whole country, experience at the same time. But yeah, I was quite young. I was like 12. It was in 2011, and I went to see my family in Chile because my grandparents and uncles and cousins live over there. And yeah, it happened at 3 a.m. in the morning. And obviously, when you're 12, you're sleeping at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time. And I travelled only with my brother, so it was just the two of us in Chile, and my parents were in France, where I lived before I moved to England. And yeah, I remember, that's one thing I remember, which is quite funny. There's that horror movie I watched when I was like 10, and I got terrified of it. I can't even remember the title, but it's like those aliens in that car garage thing. And I remember,
what film is that?
It's let me find it. But so basically, I was dreaming that I lost a of the car
Wheel.
That my car lost a wheel.
Oh my god.
So it was going all like wobbly, and I was super scared because we lost a wheel in the dream. And I woke up because a full like desk of books fell on me on the bed I was sleeping on. So then I just woke up, and I thought I was still dreaming, because it was really strange to wake up and see everything move around you. Because it's not just things moving around you, it's also you moving with the things.
Yeah.
And the house was just a bit... It was strange. I can't really describe it, because an earthquake is like... This one was like 3 minute long, and it was the 3 longest minutes
I was
of my
going to
entire
say,
life.
because that's what everyone says when they go through sort of natural disasters, sort of everything just goes slower. I mean, 3 minutes doesn't sound like very much, does it? But I bet for you it was the longest in the world.
It was the longest minutes in the world. And the movie was The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
So I
Gosh.
guess at the beginning of that movie they just get caught with, like, they lose a wheel and something. So yeah, and I remember being alone in that room when normally there's my cousin with me. I mean, so my cousin had already left, and she probably screamed my name or something that woke me up, because I don't know how I was still sleeping, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I got out of that room, And I remember looking outside at the window that was moving, and the moon was, because there's no electricity basically when an earthquake like starts, as in obviously everything breaks in terms of like electricity, water, like all the normal stuff you're used to will not be working for the like 3 weeks following the earthquake.
Particularly in Chile as well, yeah.
So yeah, I remember going downstairs running, like trying to avoid any mirror falling on me or anything. And then it stopped, but I guess I was young and I just didn't understand at that moment. I still didn't know what was going on. Like it stopped and I just remember asking my godmother, like, what was this?
How old were you again?
I was 12. But,
oh my gosh.
As I've never experienced anything as such before, it was just a bit strange for me to like experience it, because even after it I was just like, no, it didn't happen, no. And she was like, yes it did, like it did. But so yeah, we just stayed outside for the whole rest of the night, because we in Chile they're used to earthquakes since like many years. It is a country that moves a lot, even though it moves slowly usually. That one was like a quite big earthquake. It is like the third biggest earthquake that happened in the world, and the first one was in Chile as well in 1990.
Really?
I think.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, and I remember just like going outside, and some houses were on fire. It was a bit. Everyone was safe that I know, but I remember as I wasn't with my brother, the only thing I wanted was to see my brother.
Him, yeah.
So then, yeah, he walked towards our house. We saw all our family. Everything was fine. It was just like broken stuff, like material.
But what was going through your head sort of before you saw your brother?
I was just like, where is he? The only thing, I swear, the only thing I was thinking about is where is he? Because I got super anxious, because obviously all the environment I was in with all the houses and the neighbours, like everyone was super stressed at the minute. Like some people were running around and trying to help like I did witness a lot of solidarity at that moment, because everyone is trying to help others. Like it's insane, but I didn't see any like harm happen like in front of my eyes. But just like seeing a house on fire, you can just imagine that the person that owns that house is just going to be left without nothing.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was it for the earthquake itself. But as I was staying in Chile for 2 weeks, and this happened like 5 days into that holiday, the impact of an earthquake is not actually when it happens, but it's more after.
The repercussions of it, yeah.
We didn't have any phones, we didn't have any internet. My parents didn't know if I was safe, if I was alright, but they knew it after. But like, it's just you don't have any contact with the outside world for like a week or so.
Madness.
And then we went to the shop, I remember, and it was like the apocalyptic movies, like honestly, like
completely rammed with people and no
rammed
food.
With people, no food anywhere, like as no electricity was working. Like obviously Chile is not a poor country, it is still in development, but there is some people that don't have like TVs or anything, so it was so easy for some people to, instead of going and get food, would go in shops and steal, or you could just go out without paying and everything. We queued with my granddad, but we queued for like 4 hours for 2 pieces of bread. I think it was an apple and some rice or something, but it was like,
my gosh,
there was nothing. And when you drive as well, like the traffic lights were not working, so you had to be very careful.
Manic. What was that like?
Well, a lot of I've seen a bike accident in front of me, and it was quite shocking, because obviously no one knows when it's
your time to go.
Yeah, your time to go, your turn to actually like. So everyone was going very slow, but you just need like 1 second of like not
someone
looking.
making
So a bike did have like that fly over our car, but not because the car in front of us did like go into that poor person on the bike, but I think he was fine after that. So but yeah, and then the airport, oh my god, to go back home. It was good because I could actually stay like 4 more days, because there wasn't any planes going on, and the airport was not but yeah, it's just an experience that now that I look back at it, obviously I do not wish that it happens to me again. But I was lucky not to be like in the center of that earthquake, which was more in the south of the country. I was in Santiago, which is the capital. But yeah, it just reminded me at like the age of 11 that life was kind of precious in some way, and that nature was so powerful. And
which is good. It's good to be humbled by it.
No, it is. It was. I mean, I was there. I lived it. I have to like. It's not like if I'm shocked or something. Like I'm not. I'm not suffering from having been through that experience. But yeah, it was just something I wanted to share, just like so you know that it does happen. Like even this year there was like tsunamis and stuff like all around the world. It is something that could happen because nature cannot be controlled, and that's how it is.
Preach, sis. Preach. Yeah, no, I mean I've never been through any natural disaster actually, but having heard your story, because you've told me before, that's not the first time I've heard it, everyone. Sorry, a bit of a preview on that one. But no, it really can happen at any time, and you don't know. And also, it's just good to stay aware. But also, the fact you've experienced that solidarity is just
that's what I wanted to like.
Such a good thing,
because I know. I mean, obviously, the Western world, if I take it generally, is way more into materialistic stuff and way of life, etc. I'm not blaming anyone listening to this, but just saying that in countries in the south of the world, especially in Chile, they're really like close to their family, very nice to other people. Obviously, there is bad stuff happening like any other country, but when this happened, I literally witnessed so much kindness for like the week that was following and the moment following the earthquake. Like everyone was helping everyone else, and it was just insane. I didn't know that people could be so nice to other people that they didn't know, and the country got together because it was the only thing they could do at that moment. So yeah, it was quite an experience, to be honest. So yeah. Well,
I experienced humans not being very nice to other humans. Boy, oh boy. I'm pretty sure a large number of the population of the world have experienced bad things in airports. I think we could probably do a whole podcast on bad things in airports. But I mean, of all the people I've spoken to about it, American security seems to be the biggest nightmare.
I've never been to USA, so I don't know.
I mean, I didn't even go. I was flying through it. I didn't even have the pleasure of actually going into the country. I just dealt with the bloody borders. So I was actually, it was on my way back from Mexico, which was at the same time I'd been in Cuba. So actually quite a dramatic trip, that one. So yeah, we were flying back from Mexico to London, and we stopped off between Mexico in Texas. So there was a flyover in Texas, and I had bought, I mean, the first thing of this saga, this is a saga, everyone. The first thing that happened is I bought 2 extraordinarily large bottles of tequila from Mexico. And they'd all been sealed up in their special bags and all that you have to do when you go through duty free. And that was fine. Got on the flight from Mexico to Texas. And when I got to Texas trying to get onto my flight from Texas to London, they refused to let me through with my 2 ginormous bottles of tequila. Why, I hear you ask, I don't know. But so they held them hostage. That was it. So when we were going through security, they held them hostage behind the thing. And they were like, you can't take these through. And I was like, no, I definitely can. I have paid for them. They are sealed. I am going home. And obviously the Americans, being Americans, were like, no. So I can't do the accent. No. Nothing offensive against Americans, by the way. No, it's just, I mean, the security are quite a special breed. But no, it ended up, they didn't give it to me, and I had 3 minutes to run to my gate, and I had tears streaming down my face. And my sister just sort of looked at me and she went, you do realise it's only 2 bottles of tequila? And I just thought, you know what, that is my shining goblet of joy from Mexico. I wanted to bring that back as an homage from the country, and I just couldn't do it. which was a real shame, actually. And I don't think I'll ever be returning to Texas. However, there was a second element to that saga, hence the saga name. And that was when we went through border security from after we got on our flight before we went to security for the other flight. And so you have to show your passports when you got off a flight from Mexico, and that's all fine, got through that. However, I got about 2 steps out from that sort of box where you show your passport and then you walk past it. Got about 2 steps out of there, and I just suddenly felt this security guard grab onto my arm and pull me back, looking at my passport again and then being like, you need to come with me. And my sister was looking at me like, what has she done now? Like, honestly, I just want to go home. And so this man dragged me to this tiny room which was stuffed with about 50 people. And he was like, you do realise you don't have a visa? And I just sighed. I just sighed and sighed. And then it turns out my sister didn't have one either. So we were actually trapped in there for 4 hours.
So you missed your plane?
No, we didn't miss our plane. We had about 6 hours between our thing. But then obviously the tequila saga happened. So I only had 3 minutes. But no, it was ridiculous. I mean, there were over 50 people in this tiny, tiny waiting room. No sort of internet, because you can get your visa online. So they were like, oh, it's easier if you just get it online. And there was no internet, nothing that I could just quickly submit and pay. Like, I didn't mind paying, that's fine. But it's just the way they dealt with it, and it just made it just, you see how they treat people, and you just think, they're just people trying to get home, you know. I think airports are terrible. Airports are terrible places. I do not like them at all. But no, I mean, funny looking back on it. But no, I will not be returning to Texas.
And you won't be drinking your tequila.
And I won't be drinking. My dad was so upset I didn't bring that back. 2 whole bottles for him. No. Nightmare. But no, I mean, the most important thing I think we're going to touch on, which Mariana has experienced. I personally haven't experienced, but I've read into a bit about it. About this sort of element of anxiety with sort of, it can be with flying, it can be with sort of going abroad, it's something that can sort of hit you at any point. And Mariana, I mean, take it away.
Oh, well, no, yeah, I think more than 50 or 20 or even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, it wasn't like that. But I believe that, I don't know, society today is a bit like everything's a bit quick, you know, like we've all got jobs or uni or stuff to attend and stuff to think about. We want to do well, blah, blah, blah. And some people, I believe, have a bit more, are struggling a bit more to be able to do all this without, you know, stressing out and getting a bit like over the top and thinking that you're not good enough or whatsoever. Yeah. So yeah, to be honest with everyone, I genuinely thought that people that were saying that they were anxious or that they were suffering from anxiety, I didn't think it was true before I actually went through it. Like, I thought it was kind of a myth, like something you would say just because you weren't feeling very well with yourself or you were sad, etc. But it's actually real. Like, I can't. No, it's funny because I always thought I was, you know, Tallulah knows, but I love adventure. I love to travel. I would be the first one to like go out there without knowing where to go and just like climb and walk and plant your tent wherever, you know.
Which is why it was so surprising when you told me, actually.
Yeah, so I always thought that nothing ever in the world would stop me. And actually nothing has stopped me, but I did struggle. When was it? I think it was last year. It was actually when I was going to take a plane to go back to France. And for some reason, in that period of time, it was like 2 or 3 weeks, I really struggled with like even going on a bus or in a train, like even if it was like a 10-minute journey. I got a bit stressed, as in stressed that if something was going to happen to me, no one would help me, which is really strange to say. Like, you must think I'm really stupid, but that's what went through my brain. Like,
no, not at all.
As in, I thought I was going to faint or you know, I felt very weak when I was submerged with people I didn't know, and if I don't know, I felt very, not claustrophobic, but I was a bit scared of like other people, and maybe being like ashamed of like, I don't know, if I faint in a bus. I don't know. Today, when I look at it, I'm just like, if you faint in a bus, people are going to help you. Like, no one's going to look at you and be like, she fainted.
It's not the important thing, though, is it? It's that sort of the mindset you get in. You get sort of uncomfortable, and things that shouldn't shock you or like shake you do. So
exactly, and yeah, I would start shaking and feel very like strange, and I would have to leave the place I was in like very quickly. Because I just didn't feel comfortable, and it's strange to say it now, but there was something like my brain was stuck somewhere and I could not get out of it, and I believe this is what anxiety meant for me. I'm not speaking for everyone, but it was something that was there, and I was so unfamiliar with that feeling of feeling like I wasn't able to do something, or that I was stressed or scared. It really it made me feel sick of my own self, because I was like, you can't be scared, Mariana, because you're powerful and you can do this, and I don't know. So then I spoke about it to my brother and my family, and they actually really helped me. They were like, Mariana, it's fine, like you can sometimes feel like this, it's not like you can't always be like super like calm and not stressed, and
it's just not realistic, is it?
No, it's not. And so then I worked on it, as in I have never let anxiety stop me from doing something. As in I would always go on that plane, or go on that train, or go on that bus. But I would always have the feeling of, oh, I'm going on a plane. Ooh, I'm going on that bus. And it was always travel related for some reason. Which is so weird.
But it hits you in ways you can't imagine. It's, I mean, you don't expect.
Yeah, because, I'm used to fly to Chile, which is like 13 to 16 hours. I travelled alone lots of time before that happened. And yeah, I remember when that happened to me last year, I had booked my holiday, because I love to travel alone to Portugal. You might read about that in the magazine, but I love to surf, so I'm going to do like a page about surf trips and everything. And I remember throughout the year, I was like, I'm never going to be able to go to Portugal. Like, I am not able to do it. And the fact that I thought so much about it, it got to a point where I nearly like cancelled all my travel like experience and the thing I was looking forward for so long, just because I was anxious. And then I remember reading some books that really helped me. I listened to music. I don't know. I did other stuff that could make my brain like think of other things.
And we're definitely going to write about that in the magazine, aren't we? Because I mean, there's so many ways of combating it.
And yeah, and I just told myself, but that's just me and myself. It's weird, like the relation I had with myself. But I was like, you can't let it stop you from doing something, because otherwise it's going to stop you from doing more things. As in,
this is going to be
keep going. I would have dived into that zone of my brain, I don't know, of my mind, where I was like, I am unable to do it. I feel unwell. I was like, yes, I feel unwell, but you know what? I'm going to do it. And if anything happens, it's fine. Like, I'm not dying. It's not.
People are going to help you.
Yeah, be positive, and you're okay. And yeah, I remember the only thing that I was looking forward to all year was going to Portugal. So getting on that plane from Paris to Lisbon. And I remember the day I was leaving, I was like, okay. This is the day. I have to do it. Like, I spoke about it to Tallulah, to so many friends. I was like, I'm super stressed of going out there, but because I knew for a fact that when I was going to get there, it was going to be like amazing, like it had always been, and because I love traveling and being with locals and everything. But it was that bit from leaving home to getting there, because I had a plane and then a 2-hour bus, and it was just stressing me out because I had already done it, so I knew how long it would be, and yeah. And so I got on the plane, and I remember landing to Lisbon, I went outside and took a big breath of air, and I was like, I did it. It's fine.
Go
now,
you. That's
now
so
let's
good.
just take the bus. And I took the bus, and then when I got to Peniche, I remember sitting and ordering a beer because I needed
de-stress.
It was just like, okay, it's gone. Like, you've been in me for so long. You've stressed me out. Like, I'm speaking on the third person because it's like anxiety is something that is not me. But I was like, I know you it happened to me and stuff, but now that I'm here, like, leave me alone. And yeah, it's kind of strange, but it's something, many different, like, it's quite personal to speak about it, but like, some people have different ways of dealing with it. Some people don't speak about it. I went to see a hypnosis person for like only 2 hours. I went to see her, but she did give me like some tips and stuff to not feel like stressed when I was traveling. And yeah, so I never did not travel because of it, but I know for some people
it's not that easy.
It's not that easy because maybe you have, because I've always been someone that had quite not confidence in herself, but like I've never, you know, even if sometimes it's not a good day, I'm not going to like show it for some reason. Like, you know, I can deal with stuff myself, but that time of my life, I remember being like, you've always dealt with stuff by yourself, but now just speak about it and maybe it's going to be better. And now I feel much better.
Yeah.
But I know it is a thing, so...
It's good to share. I mean, I think people that go through it and they are able to share is so good for other people that are going through it and maybe can't share. Because, I mean, hearing people talking about it is only going to make... I mean, what is it? A problem solved is... No, problem solved is a problem halved. That's it. So just speaking about it. And, I mean, gosh, we've done half an hour. Look at us.
No, it is, yeah. People are scared of planes as well. Like, I've never been scared of planes, but if any of you have never been on a plane because they are too scared, we would love to hear why.
Yeah, and also, I mean, we've got our magazine coming out going live in the next 7 days. And I mean, if you like what you hear on this, we're going to do a few more on sort of separate topics, but let us know sort of whether you've had any holiday nightmares, funny, sad, things you've learnt from.
Even
and
relationships with locals.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything. Like, I remember making friends with so many, like, Portuguese or Chilean, like, people, and now they're, like, people I speak to every day, or people that you met and were horrible. Hotels. Hotel nightmares are big as well.
Hotel nightmares are funny.
Food. Oh, my God, I've got so many funny
okay,
food
there's
stories.
too many things.
But yeah.
Different podcasts.
We can't wait to share our
No, we're
content.
so excited. So we have been Where To Tracks. My name is Tallulah Gradwell.
And I'm Mariana.
Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.